so many new pieces to this IU football team.
To me, that's going to set the tone on how you get ready for games on Saturday in the fall.
I would put that Indiana room up against anybody else in the conference, and that's something that we typically don't even come close to saying.
If you want to get total sickos committee about it, there's a position battle at long snapper too.
This is the Hoosier Huddle Podcast, part of the College Huddle Podcast Network.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hoosier Huddle Podcast. We're recording on Wednesday today, as it is Indiana football's bye week. They enter the bye at 5-0 and looking to go to Oregon, take on the number 2 team in the country. We are presented by Heartwork Brewing. I'm Sammy Jacobs. Alongside me is T.J. Inman, and let's get a word from our friends over at Heartwork.
Heartwork Brewing, we are fiercely independent. From our variety of craft beers to our artisan Neapolitan-style pizzas, we put our heart into our work. We offer a full menu of draft beers, from our award-winning lagers to IPAs, sours, even our house-made seltzer. Our Northside Taproom has a variety of events and spaces for groups of all sizes. Heartwork is proud to be a locally and veteran-owned business here in Bloomington, just a stone's throw from Memorial Stadium and Assembly Hall at 1703 North College Avenue. Visit heartworkbrewing.com for hours and event info.
All right, TJ, we are back and we're here to talk Indiana sports. We have a lot to talk about. Let's start with Indiana's win at Iowa. It was a stress-inducing experience. It put a few people on the edge. We'll talk about my takeaways. It was a great win. I rewatched the game. There are still some concerns that I have, and we'll go over them. But what are your thoughts on the win at Iowa?
I mean, the most important takeaway, of course, is the simplistic view of your 5-0 and entering a bye week, which is the best you could have hoped for coming into the year. You dive a little deeper on what happened at Iowa. Yards per play, Indiana was over 2.5 yards per play better than Iowa. 6.66 yards per play to like 4.1 for the Hawkeyes. I thought the defense played very well. Limited Mark Gronowski's running game, really forced Iowa into a lot of third downs. You would have liked to have done better on those third and mediums. So there were a lot of like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. And I think Iowa took advantage of D'Angelo Pons not being out there. Some softer coverage that they were able to take advantage of for a lot of just short passes right at the sticks for first downs. Credit to them. That's exactly how they should have played it on offense. But overall, I thought the defensive line was really good against Iowa's running game, a really good offensive line for the Hawkeyes. And IU's defense, I thought, held up really well. The offense was frustrated by Iowa's defense. They brought a lot more blitzing than I think Indiana was prepared for, and I don't think they adjusted to it real well. And that blitzing, I know this is something you're going to talk about, that blitzing was really effective because of IU's inability to adjust the snap count. That created a lot of problems for the offense, and it's definitely something that has to be taken care of during this bye week, or Oregon will eat them alive. Now, I think that there were good parts of the offense. I thought the running game was still effective.
It was.
I thought that Fernando Mendoza showed a lot of toughness to hang in there and make some really good throws. Elijah Surratt had a really nice game. I thought that Indiana's passing game would be more effective against Iowa's secondary than it was. And I think it would have been if not for that consistent pressure that Iowa brought. and IU's inability to adjust that snap count and deal with it. But ultimately, IU negated what we thought would be dangerous Iowa special teams unit.
Yep.
IU negated that and actually won the day on special teams.
They did.
Credit to Nico Radicic for stepping up, and credit to the coaching staff for finally trusting him to make some big kicks.
Brandon Frankie, to me, was a special. As good as Nico Radicic was,
that's true.
Brandon
too.
Frankie, all of them were touchbacks except for the squibber at the end of the half.
Yeah,
and that's exactly why you brought him in. And Radicic hit 2 money field goals. It was an oddly windy day on the field for field goals, and he kicked both of those into the wind. Did we find out what his range is? Maybe. I don't know. I think he could go a little bit further back.
Yeah, they didn't look particularly close to coming up short.
Yeah, so they trusted him there. Punting game was solid. They did block another punt, didn't take advantage of that. Weegan did have that one punt return that set up the field. My thing is, how is that kid not on the field on every offensive play?
Especially for that team, yeah.
For any team, I mean, yeah, for a team like Iowa, especially. But holy cow! Anytime you got the ball, he got the ball. You held your breath. He is quick, fast, athletic, dangerous, and he's on. I didn't get his snap count, but it looked like he was on the field maybe once or twice a drive.
And you mentioned that tip punt. There's nothing IU can do about this, but that's twice that they've had a tip punt and it's still gone almost 30 yards.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But a credit to Indiana's punt team. They're consistently getting pressure.
They get pressure when they want to.
Yeah, that's a weapon now.
Yeah.
It's an established weapon. That's not a fluke.
Yeah, it is. And you could see when they line up that they'll overload one of the side, usually the left side.
Yep.
And it happened against Illinois. I think IU only had 10 players on the field. It looked like they had 10 on the screen, and then or 9 on the screen, and then you assume there's only one back on the D'Angelo Pons punt block. But every time they kind of load up if you're looking at the punt team, the left side of the line, and one of those guys gets through consistently, whether it be Clay Connor, Isaiah Jones has had a couple of times through there, and then D'Angelo Pons off the edge. You're making that punt protection team pick somebody. And when you make them think, if they hesitate, somebody's going to get through and get a hand on it. That's 3 block punts on the year. They should have a punt block in every game. One of them, they were called offsides on the other side. The other one, Isaiah Jones gets a hand on it, and they call running into the kicker when it was definitely not that. It was either you roughed the kicker because he blew him up, or he blocked the punt.
Right.
So that unit has been awesome. And then don't forget that Jonathan Brady's also part of that unit, and he's outside of that one fair catch, the 3-yard line where there was a defender standing behind him. It's a big no-no, but I kind of get it. Like, what are the it's 50-50 it ends up in the end zone, maybe?
Yeah.
And maybe a small chance at the 1. But, man, that punt return unit and punt block unit has been really good. I thought IU's offense was okay. The pass game, I don't think they took advantage of Iowa's aggressiveness enough. They did on the last play, and that's what you got to do, is hit those quick throws to the quick wide receivers and get those yards after catch. The snap count, to me, was the big deal. This is the issue that they had at Ohio State. It's the issue that they had kind of at Notre Dame. And again, they went with the guard flashed a hand, or Mendoza lifts his leg, the guard flashes his hand, center snaps the ball. And it's like, anything. It could be timed up as soon as you see it once. And I thought Iowa timed it up pretty quickly. They need to change it, either, do what pitchers do with great base runners, either hold the ball for an extra second or go on, flash the hand twice. It's just unbelievable to me that they can't figure out a silent count that works. And to not have the option to audible, I think also really affected the offense. This coaching staff is too good to say, hey, we're not going to audible this game. And you're setting yourself up to get beat. Maybe there were plays where on those fourth downs where IU was 0 for 2, 0 for 3 if you count the safety, which I have another problem with that on all accounts there. That maybe you check out of that run and go to a quick pass. They did use a couple screens. I thought Mendoza, he numbers wise did not have his best game, but man, he took some shots and made some big time throws. There was a throw to Surratt where he just gets hammered.
Yeah.
I know he threw the interception. He got hammered on that one, and the ball was a little high. There was a throw to E.J. Williams down the sideline where he puts it in a perfect spot where he doesn't get E.J. Williams blown to the moon.
Yep.
For a long play. And then the run, everybody's probably like, hey, Fernando, take it easy, man. You don't need to take that shot. But that just shows you what he means to this team is, running for 14 yards on 3rd and 15 to get you within a yard and to take. It was a clean shot. He got blasted into next week, but it was a clean shot. And after the game, Cignetti and Pat Coogan and Mendoza said that moment kind of galvanized the team. They calmed down and all that stuff. I just don't understand the whole mechanics of the play afterwards where the referees, it seemingly takes 5 minutes and all there was a offsides.
Yeah.
Come on. But
that was not just a meaningless, he's gonna try to pick up the first down just to be a tough guy. Given Indiana's struggle in short yardage situations, it wasn't like, I'll just get to 2 or 3 yards short, slide, and we'll go for it and get it. I mean, that probably wasn't going to happen. So it was toughness with a purpose. It was not just trying to rally the team beyond him. But he got he slammed his elbow really hard along the turf there. Got a nice rug burn, and also slammed up against an equipment locker. And thankfully,
that's what I thought he cut himself on, was the equipment locker. But after the game, it looked like a turf burn.
Regardless, I'm sure that has probably not felt good this week. Thankfully,
that's when you
all right.
Shower with your arm out of the
Thankfully, he's
shower.
All right, and certainly, I think we can both agree a very good time for a bye week.
Great time for a bye week. It lets you heal up. Iowa clean hits all game, but hard, heavy. They laid the wood. But let's get into Coach Cignetti's basically the coaching of the game. And I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought they were I don't know if conservative is the right word, but they did, handicap themselves with not being able to audible, not changing up the snap count. And then there were things that we haven't seen under Kirk Cignetti that happened on Saturday. You take a timeout with 6 seconds left as the play clock runs down in the third quarter. I don't know whether or not, because I didn't get to ask the question at post game, but I don't know whether or not that was, hey, they thought the play clock or the game clock would run out before the play clock. You had a delay of game coming out of off a kickoff where maybe the play clock starts too early. He looked really frustrated with the officiating all game. It's the first time I've really seen him. Look, we've all seen the Sig memes of him looking just absolutely disgusted that he's beating the hell out of teams. But we really haven't seen him go off on a referee or anybody like he did on Saturday. and he did that a couple of times. So it was the missed pass interference in the end zone that was on an underthrown ball that I would say if you're IU and that was reversed and they called pass interference, you would be fuming. A better throw there gets a touchdown. You had the whole situation at the end with the kneel down or the delayed victory thing. We'll get to that in a second. So I don't know if he was a little shaken up or feeling the pressure of, hey, this is another big road environment where we're struggling and that narrative's catching up to him. I just wasn't generally impressed with what the, especially the offensive coaching staff and Cignetti brought. Now the defense adjusted well. They played without an All-American and they really played. I thought they played a really good game. They got two turnovers. They stuffed the run when they needed it to, and that they were really impressive. So, and I think Mikael Kamara was fine. The TV broadcast said he was injured late in the game. They never showed him, and then all of a sudden he's on the field on the next play with 2 minutes left. It's like, come on. First of all, Peacock's got to be better. They need to get rid of Phil Simms and whoever the guy was doing the game because they were awful. But yeah. Let's get to the safety at the end of the game. I think a lot was made out of it because Fernando Mendoza said what he said after the game is he apologizes for cooking people's spread bets.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's, until colleges and networks return the money they're getting from these books for advertising, nothing you could do. If that play occurs from the 20-yard line and in, I think you're fine. With it, the whole thing starts because Fernando Mendoza takes a snap on first down,
right?
Tucks the ball like this to protect it and takes 3 steps back, but the whistle blows as soon as he tucks the ball. Now, I looked up the rules, and the rules if you simulate taking a knee, the play is dead. That is up for interpretation. Right. What is simulating taking a knee? You could thank the kid from Pitt, the quarterback, for faking, sliding, and running for a touchdown for this rule. But it wasn't like he sort of went down for a knee. He just ducked to protect the ball, saw that a rush wasn't coming, and took a couple steps back. And instead of 5 seconds coming off the clock, 2 seconds came off the clock, or 3 seconds came off the clock. Cignetti got one explanation from one official, got another explanation from another official. That happened a couple of times. Now, I get Kirk Ferentz taking timeouts. This is not a Kirk Ferentz hates Cignetti and all that stuff. The goal was to put the ball in harm's way on fourth down, whether that is on a punt, taking a safety or whatever. But, anytime you could put the ball in harm's way or have a chance to do that, you're going to do it. Was there a better way to do it than running him 40 yards back to the end zone? Probably. You could take a snap and roll out to the right and launch that thing into the press box. You can turn around and throw that thing out of the back of the end zone, although that's a little risky from 40 yards out because if it's short, it's a fumble. Or you could always I wouldn't under any circumstances punt there because all sorts of things could go wrong. But just the end of the game with the officiating, I don't think it was a terrible call to do the safety, but there were other options. I think he was forced into doing that because the referees didn't know how to referee the play.
Yeah, I'm going to borrow a line that I heard yesterday on Champions League coverage during a match. For those unfamiliar, that's soccer. A player for Tottenham Hotspur got a goal disallowed, and the British commentator, as British commentators do, had a wonderful phrase for how I would describe Kurt Cignetti's mood there with the officials. He was incandescent with rage. Incandescent with rage. That is just about the angriest that I have seen Kurt Cignetti with officials. And
I think his baseline is incandescent rage during games, though, TJ. Like, he'll go rage by himself down the sideline. But I think that is his baseline.
with officials, that was the most demonstrative that I have seen him towards the officials. And I don't blame him. I've watched too much football. I haven't seen an end of game handled that way by the officials before.
No, and they handled everything poorly all game. There was a couple replays where they didn't get buzzed down in time. It didn't seem like the referee knew it was getting replayed at some times.
Yep.
There were clock issues. Maybe these are the Pac-12 crew that needed jobs and came to the Big Ten. But that was a poorly officiated, especially at the end of the game, where you get two explanations of what's happening, and that's never a good thing. When the officials aren't on the same page and don't know the rule, if you're going to get the rule wrong, at least be together on it. Hey, this is our interpretation of the rule. We've got your back, all that stuff. But to have two different explanations is inexcusable.
And I think it just kind of added to the sense of relief at the end of the game. It just, man, thank goodness that one's done. We're 5-0. We get to move on. I know people would have wanted a more impressive showing. I get that. If you play like that at Oregon, are you going to lose very heavily? Yes, you absolutely are. Good news is they weren't playing at Oregon. They were playing at Iowa. Iowa's good, but Indiana was okay playing a B- or C+ game and getting out of there with a win. And at the end of the regular season, if Indiana is 10-2 or 11-1 or 12-0, and they look back, the committee looks back and says, oh, man, they weren't super impressive at Iowa. They only won by 5. That's not going to happen. That's the margin of victory at Iowa is not going to come into the discussion at the end of the year as to whether or not Indiana gets in the college football playoff or what their seed is going to be. It's not. The fact that they won is going to be the only thing that matters with that game. So a lot of things to clean up. They've got a bye week to do it. The most important thing is that Indiana, as far as we know, came out of that game healthy, minus the D'Angelo Pons injury before the game. I would think, given that he went through warmups, he'd be ready to go at Oregon, but we'll just have to wait and see next week on that. But no new injuries that came into play, and you're 5-0, and that's something that we talked about during the offseason of, hey, if you can get to the bye week at 5-0, you feel really good about things. And that's exactly what happened.
We talked at the beginning of the season, this 3-game stretch, Illinois at home, at Iowa, at Oregon. If you got out of there 5-1, you're in the driver's seat for the playoff. And I think that's
plus Illinois goes out, helps Indiana by rebounding and beating USC. So, a lot of the talk of, oh, well, Illinois is terrible, so that doesn't really mean anything that they killed them. Well, maybe not. Maybe you actually do have to give IU credit for the way that they pounded them.
Yeah, here's my take on the college football playoff. It's way too early to start comparing resumes.
Sure, yeah. But at the end of the year, they're not going to talk about margin of victory at Iowa.
No, they're not, especially because I think Penn State goes in there later in the year, and that'll be a comparable point of.
I think Ohio State plays there too.
A lot of people go into Kinnick is a place where playoff and national title dreams have gone to die in the past, and to get out of there with a 5-point win in a game where you allowed them to dictate and do what they wanted to do is impressive. But here's the college football playoff. Look, it's great. That's the goal, is to make the playoff, have a shot at the national title. But it's taking away so much of the narrative of the regular season.
Yeah.
Like who we're talking about, well, Maryland might be a good win. Who knows? Maryland fell off the table after playing IU last year. And Wisconsin might be terrible. Like, it is way too early to prognosticate what these wins mean or don't mean or anything like that, especially in a season that's 12 games long, that, what is it, 10%, less than 10% of the teams make the playoff tournament.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, man. I'm kind of over the college football playoff and taking the fun away from the regular season, but it is what it is. Let's get to some other sports, TJ. Yesterday, men's basketball had an open practice. First time down to see them play in person. I think the only time we've seen them was on the highlights from Puerto Rico. I'd say it was better than I expected. It was for a first-year coach at IU with, 13 new players. Everything ran like flawlessly, at least from my point of view, sitting 20 rows up in the stands. This team's going to shoot a lot of threes. They can make a lot of threes. I like Tucker DeVries. He's to me the most complete player on the team. Lamar Wilkinson's going to be a frustrating but fun player to watch. I think people might get frustrated if he goes cold, but he's not afraid to shoot it. He's got a good stroke from deep. He's not afraid to take it to the hole when he needs to. I like how Connor Enright plays. Reed Bailey, we'll see how he plays. I think depth in the front court could be an issue, especially at that 5 position. He should be solid. We'll see if he's tough enough to play in the Big Ten. But skill could be there. And we'll see. We'll see. Nick Dorn looks like he's getting closer. Coach DeVries said that he was getting nervous that Sig would steal him because he's been running on the sideline. But he's getting closer. Trent Sisley looked really good. Shout out to Jeff Rapjohns for that. He pointed that out, pointed him out to me and said, yeah, people might not see it this year, but he's going to be good. He has all the instincts, has all the tools, probably needs another 10 or 15 pounds, but he is a freshman. Frame does not look like a freshman, though, even though it does need to add weight. He could be a guy who gives you valuable minutes off the bench. I'm not going to say he's going to start or all that stuff, but he's a guy who maybe he gets 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes a game, and gives you a chance to spread the floor, hit some shots, and all that stuff. So, yeah, what is your takeaway from basketball? You've been following it much more closely than I have the last couple months.
I think that what jumps out to you immediately, the 2 things that jump out immediately about this team, number one is going to be the ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter, their desire to space the floor and get open looks from the perimeter. That's how this team wants to operate, is get guys into the paint, off the drive, kick it out for 3-pointers. I think that's the primary way that this team wants to score. And they're, on paper, they brought in a lot of guys that have good assist rates at their previous schools. What that means is that when those, let's talk about Tatum Connerway, for instance. Tatum Connerway, not a good perimeter shooter, although I have heard some encouraging things that he has improved in that area, but not a great proven perimeter shooter. How about that? But a good driver of the basketball that can create for others, get into the lane, and kick it out for an open 3. So you surround a point guard like Tatum Connerway with 2 of the better shooters in the country from 3, and that's Wilkerson and Tucker DeVries, plus a number of other players that are capable of hitting from 3. Reed Bailey, he can knock them down from 3. Trent Sisley, I think his primary role is going to be a forward off the bench that can hit corner threes, pick up loose balls as a good rebounder, and I think has a pretty active interior game, not refined post moves or anything, but just the ability to get in the paint, pick up some rebounds, pick up dump offs in the lane, and go up and finish. He's a better shooter than I think people would have anticipated coming in. And that's particularly true from the corner. So they're going to surround on offense. You're going to see a lot of 5-out sets. And that is the polar opposite of what we've had to watch the past few seasons. Offensive possessions are going to start with nobody in the lane. And that's fun on offense, but I think it does present some potential issues on the defensive end because this team does not have a legitimate rim protector. I think Sam Alexis is probably the closest thing they have to it.
Yeah, he's only 6'9", though.
I know, exactly. Yeah, he's the closest thing they have to it. Asimovich is the biggest guy, but he's not going to be ready to contribute against Big Ten competition yet. My understanding of Andre Asimovich would be a year away. He needs to get quicker laterally, get a better understanding of the collegiate basketball game and what's expected of him on defense, and increase his athleticism, kind of clean up his frame a little bit. So the interior guys that they have, Reed Bailey, capable shot blocker, but not something he excels at. Sam Alexis, good shot blocker at Chattanooga. Didn't see much of it at Florida, but of course he was playing behind some really good players and he was injured. So who's going to be the guy that can patrol the paint for you? And if you don't have that, do you have really good perimeter defenders that can keep guys out of the lane? Maybe. Tatum Connerway is. That is an area that I think he's going to be critically important in, is on-ball defense on the perimeter for Tatum Connerway, because it's not a strength for Lamar Wilkerson. Tucker DeVries is a okay defender. Reed Bailey would be able to defend big guys on the perimeter, but he can't switch out and guard, a quick forward on the perimeter. I think lineup-wise, what you're probably looking at, if Coach DeVries got his way, you get Nick Dorn healthy and in rhythm, and I think he'd like to start Connerway, Wilkerson, Nick Dorn, Tucker DeVries, and Reed Bailey. That's Nick Dorn is 6'7", and all the kids that are listening out there just went 6'7". I know, but he's 6'7". He's got good length. He's big for a guard. Tucker DeVries is also pretty big. So you wouldn't be small all over the court. You'd just be small at the one spot of center. So how does that positional size at the other guard positions and the forward positions, how do you make up for the lack of a true rim protecting center? The answer is going to have to be fundamental defense, communication on defense, good positional awareness, good footwork, a lot of stuff that's going to take some time to develop. And Coach DeVries mentioned it yesterday that their defensive system doesn't really have hard and fast rules with when to switch. It doesn't have hard and fast rules with what to do with ball screens. It's more situational and takes time for guys to learn. So can I use defense, kind of stay afloat as they learn those things against a pretty tough non-conference schedule? Or is the defense so far behind that you get buried against teams like Marquette, Kansas State, Kentucky, and Louisville, and put yourself in a hole before the Big Ten schedule?
Yeah, they communicated well during practice on defense. It's one of those things where you're going to have, it's defense is all about want to anyway. You're going to have to want to be good fundamentally and things like that, and box out and allow, and your guards are going to have to, get in and get some rebounds too. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have the ball hit the floor on a missed shot, but yeah, you're not going to have a rim protector like Khalil Ware or Trace, who's just a freak athlete back there at Trace was 6'9" too. There's no athlete like Trace who could jump out of the gym like that at his size. But overall, I walked away saying, okay, this might be a fun team to watch. They'll play a fun brand of basketball, and we'll see when they play some of these competitions coming up, against Baylor in October, and then when they start the season. We also got to talk to Teri Moren and the women's team yesterday. Interesting stuff from Teri Moren. They're also bringing in a lot of transfers and new players. You lose Yarden Garzon to the portal. Lily Meister goes to the portal. A lot of those players who have been in the program for a couple years are now gone. She did mention that there were locker room issues last year and that one of the priorities is to protect the locker room. Lene Beaumont has, I don't know if she's officially named captain, but Moren has said that she's the one. She's been in the program for her third year in the program now. She missed all of last year with an injury, so it's kind of odd to have a player who's played just her freshman year in limited minutes become the leader of the team. But I talked to Lene in the conversations up on YouTube. She is so easy to follow. She was Miss Basketball in Illinois, came to IU, works her butt off, is in these recruiting meetings for the portal with coaches saying, hey, what do you need me to do to help this team? What am I looking for in potential people to fit the culture of the team, and things like that. They did get a nice portal haul, but Lene Beaumont, is going to be the driver of this team, and we'll see how quickly they gel, and things like that. But you have a really good coach in Teri Moren who knows how to win in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten doesn't, at least to my knowledge, doesn't have that superstar this year. Caitlin Clark's in the WNBA. Juju Watkins just said she's sitting out this season to rehab the injury she suffered late last year and get ready for a pro career. So, you don't have that star name in Big Ten basketball that I've seen so far. So it could be up to anybody. Now, Indiana's going to have, just like the men, have issues with front court depth. But Teri Moren's offense is kind of like what Coach DeVries wants to do, and get somebody in the lane, kick it out, and shoot threes. Did they have the people to knock them down this year? That's yet to be seen. We didn't get to see practice because it was closed. But that's where somebody like Yarden Garzon and a couple of those other people who have moved on who could hit those open threes may hurt. But it should be another good year, and the person to keep an eye on is Lene Beaumont. Shea Chesky as well is another person coming back who could play well. But it should be another solid year where the NCAA tournament is a realistic goal for the program, being a top 5 team in the Big Ten. And I just don't know how wide open the Big Ten is. It could be there for the taking for IU, but it could also be, hey, if you're in the top 5, you're going to go to the NCAA tournament. You're probably going to host the NCAA tournament game or games in the first 2 rounds and go to the Sweet 16. Their goal was to get more athletic and bigger. Seems like they've done that, at least from the press room. But until you get to see these people in action, it's tough to tell. But seeing them in action is coming sooner rather than later, TJ. This is something that I think IU basketball, both men's and women's, and the IU athletic department has done a really good job at. in an effort to re-engage the students in men's basketball.
Right.
And I think they've been engaged with women's basketball for the most part, especially for the huge games against
Yeah.
Iowa and Ohio State and, all those ranked games. They come out. Doing the Hoosier Hoops on Kirkwood is a really cool idea. Apparently, Darren DeVries did this at Drake. They called it like Bulldog something. I forgot. I had overheard it and meant to make a mental note and didn't. It was successful. They're going to have the court, I think, set up between Nick's and upstairs down on Kirkwood. The weather looks phenomenal. It should be a special time. Now, are you going to be able to judge how good people are at this event?
Please
No.
don't. Please don't.
No, you're maybe their creativity skills in terms of trick shots and stuff like that, or but you're shooting the basketball outside.
Right.
Elements come into it. Who knows with the wind and, shooting between buildings and the background and all that stuff. But you wrote an article yesterday that connecting with the fans is important, and a lot of players talked about that. So what did you take away from that?
I thought it was refreshing to kind of hear from multiple different players that they understand Indiana University has a passionate fan base, and there wasn't an expectation from, at least not in their quotes or the coaches' quotes, there's not an expectation that, hey, we expect you to be there no matter what. It was, hey, we know that we need to put a team on the court that you'll be proud of. We need to play in a way that you're proud of. And we need to bring that every time we step on the Assembly Hall floor. And we need to connect with the fans because they are important to our success. I think my kind of stance has been that the previous regime under Mike Woodson understood how important the fans were, but took it for granted that no matter what, you as fans are just supposed to be there and provide a great atmosphere. That's your job.
The shut up and cheer people from our
Yes,
forum.
That's your job, is just do that and don't worry or talk about anything else. Just show up and cheer. And thus far, I feel like Darren DeVries and these players have intentionally gone out of their way, and these events are another part of that, have intentionally gone out of their way to let fans know, hey, we have to earn this. We have to earn you showing up and cheering like crazy people to give us an atmosphere that allows us to go out and help win games. We can't just roll the ball out, shrug our shoulders, and expect there to be a crazy crowd out there. There has to be engagement, and there has to be a product that fans want to cheer for. And they are saying the right things. Now, does any of that matter if they go out in the season opener against Alabama A&M, score like 60 points, take 10 3-point attempts, and only win by like 5? Well, people aren't going to be happy, and they're going to forget all the goodwill that's been built up, and it's going to be, oh, no, we still suck. I understand that, but they can't do anything about that until the games start. All they can do so far is have events like this, practice hard, be as good as they can be, and, provide open media sessions and allow the players to talk to the media and showcase a little bit of their personality. And that's what they're doing. And I think it's great.
Especially in the NIL era where these players have become more professionalized.
Right.
They're not just student athletes. They're getting paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to play college basketball.
Yep.
And the least you could do is go out and make a kid's night or do these events to help the community or bring some joy to somebody's life for a few hours, not just in the game. So I think that's part of it too. And talking to the women's players, they're super excited to get in front of the fans too.
Mhm.
You have a lot of new players.
Yeah.
A couple of them grew up in Indiana. They've watched these games on TV. They know how special Assembly Hall could be, and things like that. But that's how you rebuild the fan bases, through these connections. That's what made college sports kind of special, was like, hey, they're my peers. We have access to them. I was in a class with what was our era? DJ White and AJ Ratliff and Lance Bennett and all those guys. Or you go back to the older folks. Oh, we saw Coach Knight's teams at Knicks or down on Kirkwood, or we saw them play in New York and they were out in Manhattan walking around, and
Yeah.
it was like, oh, I had a class with him, or that's what makes the fan bases in college sports a little bit more special than the pro teams, is those connections, and these events help.
Yeah.
It should be an awesome thing. The Haunted Hall of Hoops is an awesome thing, and then we also have a scrimmage on was it Saturday?
Friday night.
Friday night scrimmage on Friday night, so we'll have people down there, and you'll get to see kind of for the first time what things look like. Practice yesterday was mainly half court stuff with some full court things where every couple possessions a coach will huddle with them, and they switched up coaches and switched up teams, and it was okay. I mean, it is, that's what practice is.
Yeah. I'm a little curious to see how they divvy up this scrimmage, just with the limitation. I would assume Nick Dorn's not going to scrimmage. He is
a lot of practice players yesterday.
Yeah,
like that's the thing, is like, I don't know, because it looked like you had your starting five or whoever might be your main rotation guys playing against some practice players, walk-ons, and heck, they threw like Lamar Wilkinson on there sometimes as well, kind of rotating through. I don't know what that was about, but
because now
you don't get so they don't get totally one-sided. I don't know.
Now you're probably without Jason Drake. He's still out. Josiah Miles was sick yesterday. Let's say he's back. So you're without Josh Harris, did not practice yesterday.
And Nick Dorn's not cleared for contact.
Is not cleared for contact. Alexa Ristich did not practice yesterday. So, you're a little shorthanded, and Coach DeVries kind of joked, but I'm sure he's not actually joking. We're just hoping we get these things out of the way now.
I mean, he mentioned the walking boots yesterday, and I think everybody's mind went back to 2 or 3 years ago when everybody, it seemed, was in a walking boot.
Yeah, Coach DeVries, you sweet summer child, you think you're getting at these things out of the way now. You just wait.
Yeah, but yeah, you have the scrimmage on Friday. You have Haunted Halls of Hoops, I believe, on the
October 30th.
30th on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Before Halloween. So they took the best. I know people miss Hoosier Hysteria, but it seems like they've taken the best parts of Hoosier Hysteria, which is the skills competition, scrimmage, and then kind of the meet and greet part of it, and broken them up into 3 different events. The Kirkwood event is student-centered. I know people are complaining, well, it's at 8 o'clock at night and it's bedtime and I can't come down from South Bend or I'll miss the Notre Dame game on Saturday, or, it's not meant for you. It is meant for the 40,000 kids on campus to go, oh, man, remember when they played basketball on Kirkwood and Lamar Wilkinson shot the ball from the parking lot but behind upstairs and it went off the roof and off the school, like the old MJ McDonald's commercial with Larry Bird? Like, that's what that is about. The scrimmage is open on Friday. That's more for your fan, like, your diehard fans who want to
Yeah.
see the technical part of practice and things like that. And then, of course, for the kids, the haunted Hall of Hoops, get in there, make memories, hand out candy, make sure your kids pay the dad tax or mom tax, whoever takes them down for that. So I love it. I think they've done a really good job with it, and hopefully the weather forecast stays for Thursday. But yeah, Indiana's on a bye week this week in football. Soccer's kind of hit a rough patch a little bit here, TJ, with losses to Michigan and Michigan State recently, but they knocked off UCLA, broke out the black kits, which we're on black jersey watch for IU football, I think. We'll see. If I had to put money on it, I would think it could be the UCLA game, but we'll see. But yeah, so a lot of good stuff. Women's soccer is playing well. Volleyball, big match against Purdue coming up on the 16th in Indianapolis. So Indiana Athletics getting out there and about. And I know I give them a hard time for not marketing enough, but you win games, people are going to pay attention, people are going to cover you and things like that, and that's what they're doing. They're winning games. Final thoughts, TJ?
I think on the football side, you wanted to be 5-0. That was the goal. You are. I know the Iowa performance was not one you'd like to replicate, but the result is, and you kind of have that on the back of a 63-10 drubbing of what was a top 10 team and what is still a ranked team. Football has done everything that it needed to thus far to put themselves in a position to have another awesome season. It remains a really fun team to watch, even if a game at Iowa is worse than a root canal. So
they don't play a fun brand of football. I mean, if you're an Iowa fan, you love it, but it's not like fun to watch.
Do you love it, or is it just?
I think you love it when you win.
This is who we are, and we have to embrace it. I mean,
I think without Brian Ferentz at offensive coordinator, it might be a little bit more fun. But they're great at what they do. IU went in there and got a win.
Yeah.
You're 5-0. They need to go down. You need to come out swinging against Oregon. You cannot play where we're not going to audible. We're change the snap count, anything like that. You're going to have to come out because you could play your A+ game and Oregon could still beat you by 20 points. Them and Ohio State are probably the two best teams in the country, and Oregon might be better than them. Maybe they have the better quarterback. For now.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So
yeah,
we'll see. It should be a good game.
We'll have that full preview next week, and I know we will probably get a little bit scared diving into our Oregon tape. I know I've seen more of them than you have so far, but you'll catch up on that. I listened to the Penn State
game on the radio, so I got to catch up to that. You can't really take that much away from the radio.
Yeah, you'll catch up on that. We'll have a full preview of that, and then we'll have kind of recap coverage of what should be a fun couple of nights for basketball. It's just a celebration, really, of what we hope is kind of the rebirth of having some fun in the program.
Yep. And, it's same on the women's side. Last year, I don't think was that much fun for them either, especially with the locker room issues. But you have a seemingly good group, and they'll come out and have fun too and get back to where they were with Teri Moren a couple years ago, where they're hosting NCAA games and competing for that Big Ten title, and maybe going further than the Sweet 16 and stuff like that. So it should be a celebration for all the basketball teams and all those players, and showcase and just have fun again. That's what it is. It's just enjoy yourselves for a couple nights before games start counting for real and things like that. We got the purple dinosaur back. All right, that's our cue to end, TJ. I don't know. Is there some solar flare coming into South Carolina?
Who knows? Probably.
But yeah, man. All right. Keep coming back to HoosierHuddle.com. We are under construction. We are some things have popped up, some things have gone away, some things will be back. Just bear with us for a little bit longer. We do have the subscription things fixed for the most part. But a lot of we're going through a full redesign here. So bear with us. Some things will change, but for the most part, the thing functions, and we'll get back to business. So enjoy Indiana, Oregon, Saturday, October 11th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. So no, you don't have to deal with Peacock or anything like that. You get the A team from CBS. Should be a fun one.